What it is, y'all, it's your old boy Pilk, and this is the big one, guys. You've been waiting for this, boss 1-8. Funny enough, here's the team we're running. Now, let me kind of explain what we're dealing with in this realm, because this team is a bit of a weird situation. We do need some insect killers. Now, both Aisha and Shuna are going to be insect killers. The fun part here, the really fun part here, is that both Aisha and Ashuna being insect killers means they're both going to be like our DPS level situation. But if you notice, Ashuna's fire, and this event does prefer fire, but Aisha is water. In fact, Aisha is pretty much brought along almost the entire water team that we normally run. Now, here's the thing to remember. Unfortunately, I don't have the 20% assist, but I do have the 15% assist Hephaestus. If we play our cards right, this should be enough. Depending. There's a real dependent situation here. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But first, magic plus 20%, it's not that big a deal because we're doing mostly physical. But fire and water attack damage, 15%. Now, the downside is we only have the water resistance down. We don't have fire resistance down. There's no unit, at least that I'm aware of, that does both in the 15 to 20% realm. In fact, I'll double check my work over here. I don't believe there is anybody. No, there's nobody that does both resistances, at least not in the 15 to 20% range. So, we're going to be slightly lacking. But, I think we got this. Let's go ahead and let's jump in. Now, per usual with Line, we're going to jump out of the gate with Spotlight. That's going to give everyone 33% SA gauge charge. And we're just going to kind of start doing our buff stack with everybody else. Skill 1 with Belle, skill 1 with Aisha, and skill 2, remember, she's a 2-1 build, skill 2 with Ashuna. Now, one thing you will probably note, if you've got maximum broken units like I do, these units take like no damage. There's a lot of zeros. So what I've had to do, and there's no ailment or anything like that here. Literally what I did is I went in and I put like swift armors on these guys, something I just never ascended. So we got like level 50, level 60 swift armors on everybody, just to make sure they're taking a little bit of damage, because we do need them to take damage in order for this to work. If we're taking goose eggs as far as damage goes, like every zero you see is no counter, and we are going to have counters for this to work. So I'm running like level 60 armors, running fully ascended weapons. In fact, funny story about this. I'll go ahead and start the skill of the stacking, and this is same stack you've seen before. Okay, skill 1 with Aphrodite, skill 2 with Belle, skill 2 with Aisha, skill 1 with Ashuna. I happen to realize for all the time we've been running this team, the Aisha that I run, her weapon was never ascended. And sad reality is I don't have the items to fully... I have her weapon fully ascended, but I don't have it fully leveled up. It's like level 83 of 90. So for everything you see out of Aisha, there's just a little bit more damage that's completely possible. And that might come into play towards the end, but... it's not like world-endingly, it's not that big of a deal, but it could make a slight difference. We'll get to that. So, just a little kind of embarrassing moment there. But, nevertheless, Haruhime came in. Now, you would think we're going to do Dawnwind, but I'm actually going to do Nightstorm. Now, the reason we're going to do this is because this is going to buff our heal rates, this is going to buff everything else, it gives a big buff to the team, and these units do not seem to wipe out buffs or debuffs, at least as far as I can tell. Now, everybody else is just going to kind of stick to their big AoE skill. And if you kind of feel like, well, Haruhime is missing out on her SA charge, she is, but only for one turn, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. We're still going to end with a quad SA in turn 9, so it's not that big of a deal. Plus, we have to rebuff on this turn anyway, so if we rebuff with Haruhime here, then rebuff with literally everybody else, we'll be good to go. So Belle's going to do his skill 1. Aisha doesn't need to rebuff, but Shuna will have to do her skill 2. And if we look at her opponents, all of their debuffs, they're pretty good. The only thing is that physical resistance, agility resistance I'm not so worried about. The physical resistance will be reapplied with Belle's skill 1, so we're not worried about that. the debuffs are still going to be good. And remember, from next turn forward, Haruhime is going to be basically spamming your skill 3, so debuffs are never going to be a problem again. Never, ever, 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 ever a problem again. All right. So speaking of which, Blowing Wind, skill 3. We're going to go ahead and do skill 2 with Belle. Skill 2's been initiated with Haruhime. And skill 1, or sorry, with Aisha. Skill 1 with Ashuna. Okay? Remember, that's a super class attack. It is her biggest attack. So it's what we really need. And if we go down here, strength magic down 40%, water attack damage, or sorry, water resist down 40%, all unit down 35, agility down 35, physical down 40, fire down 40. Remember, Ashuna's like a 1-unit wrecking crew. She buffs and debuffs all by herself. So if you're worried about, like, you know, her elemental stuff, she's fine. The only real downside to Ashuna is that she doesn't have the assist resistance. But if I'm totally honest here, it's not that big of a deal. Also, I am running the new Memoria on this team. So the new Memoria that gives the damage boost up into turns like, you know, 8 and 9 are definitely still there. Now, I'm not going to change anything. Normally on turn 7, I'd rebuff everything, but I'm not going to bother. I don't think we need it. Everything runs out on turn 8, and turn 9 is moot anyway, because it's all SAs. So the little tiny bit of extra damage I get for that one turn is not worth the offset. So, literally, we're just going to keep spamming. Skill 3, skill 2, skill 2, skill 1. Let's go. Normally, like I said, we'd be rebuffing here, but this is really honestly no point. Alright. So, there we go. Alright. And now, this is the turn where we're not going to have a lot of the extra effects that we would normally have, but we'll have Haruhime's counter heal, we're going to have all of that, and notice the health on our opponent. Our opponent has been completely taken apart by this team. Dual insect killers. Now, Ashuna could be more potent, admittedly, but I think she's going to hold her own. Now, this is the real, true, honest-to-goodness test. So long as we don't have anybody outstanding that's got, like, a, you know, didn't take enough damage or didn't take enough SAs. Hence why I say counters are so important. We need that counter damage, basically in order to get to this point we're at now. So, excuse me, Quad SA, Haruhime, 120% strength and magic. Belle, 100% water attack damage. Aisha is getting an 80% per each self-water attack damage buff. So, because she does buff her own water damage, she's going to get 160% because she's also at the buff on the assist side. Ashuna, and here's the weird one. Ultra Fire physical attack 70% per each target's fire resistance reduction skill. The big downside here, they do not have a fire resist skill on the assist side. That is the one big downside to this team. And because of that, they're going to be lacking a little tiny bit of damage. But because the rest of the team is water, I really kind of feel like we should be fine. Hopefully. So let's see the kind of numbers we're seeing out of this team, okay? Remember, Haruhime is not a damage producer. Haruhime is just basically a buff unit. Or at least a buff SA. Belle, we got some 1.2s out. Aisha. Now remember, Aisha is insect killer. Nice. I saw 3-9 in there. Wasn't happy about that, but saw a lot of 4 mils. Now, we got to bring it home with Ashuna. Let's go, Ashuna. What you got, girl? I told y'all they could do it. I didn't want to spoil it. I didn't want to sully it. I wanted that to be the S-clear. And I want you to pay close attention. Ashuna was lacking 70% of her damage. She could have produced so much more damage than she did. Number one. Number two, she's only +4. You don't always have to have max level broken units. Sometimes you just have to build the right team. Guys, go out there. Just take all these out. I've got a couple of these I still need to go S clear, but that's probably just going to be a modification of the teams and then, you know, slam right back through them. But for now, that's going to be the video. Like, comment, share, all the good stuff. And guys, tomorrow morning we should have some information on the incoming anniversary. I don't know how much news we're going to get, but hopefully at least see you then for some more Danmachi news and the anniversary coming up shortly. Take it easy, guys, and I'll see you soon.